What's going on, Trailblazers? Sam here, back at it again for another video. And in today's video, with 1.3 literally dropping tomorrow, I'm hyped. I wanted to do my final 1.2 tier list. So let's jump right into it. Now let's start off with the easy peasy lemon squeezy ones. Sela, still S tier, still basically the best single target DPS that we got. Easy S tier all day. Branya, also S tier. Pretty much any team that has a main DPS, you want to put Branya in. She just makes them significantly stronger. And then we're going to do Japard. I still think Japard is S tier. One of the best preservation characters we have thus far. He is so good for Memory of Chaos. He keeps your teams alive. He's super pog. Now let's jump over to the new characters. Mami Kafka. She is easily S tier. She is a phenomenal character, honestly, and she doesn't even have that many great DOT supports. You can put crit damage and crit rate artifacts on her, and she can still do a lot of damage. She can even do more damage than Jing Yuan with a crit build. S tier, she's only going to get better. She is busted. And Mommy. Blade is also S tier easily. Super fun character. I love this character. Very fun to use. He has such good self-sustain. You basically don't even need to worry about him. You can use him as a sub DPS, and he does really good damage. Again, a character that's only going to get stronger because we don't have a lot of supports that boost HP yet. Keyword being yet. So 1.2 was a banger. Both 5 stars were S tier easily, in my opinion. And then we're going to go over to Jing Yuan. Guys, I got roasted when I said he was only A tier, but with Kafka, he is a hard A tier. And I'm going to talk about why. Kafka, absolutely dumpsters on him in every perspective. Like I said, you can put Jing Yuan's artifacts on Kafka and she will do more damage. Also, Serval, if you have her E6, she is almost as good as Jing Yuan. So I'm sorry, I like Jing Yuan. Alejandro Saab is the GOAT, but guys, this guy is just not that good. He's good enough to clear MOC, but in the grand scheme of tier lists, he ain't it. Serval, I do think Serval is A tier, especially if you have her E6, which a lot of us do, myself included. Like I said, if she's E6, she can rival Jing Yuan's damage, so I do think she is A tier. We're going to go down to Welt. Welt is tricky. I really like Welt. I don't personally have him myself. I think there's instances where he is super busted. If you get a couple copies of him, his first Eidolons are really good. I'm going to put him in A tier. I think in MOC he can be really good because he can basically prevent enemies from having turns, which obviously significantly improves your preservation and your survivability. But I don't know if his damage is nearly as good as some of the other 5 stars, but I do think he is very solid. Asta, I love Asta. She pairs incredibly well with Kafka. She boosts attack, she boosts speed. She is a little squishy, but all around, I think she's one of the better Harmony characters, especially the fact that she is a 4-star. Clara, I like Clara a lot. I used to think she was kind of busted. I'm going to put her high A tier. If you play her with March, very solid. I just don't know if the counterattack retaliation meta is the best when we have such strong DPSs, but she is amazing. She's adorable. Svarog is the GOAT, so I would say she's definitely pretty high A tier. Herda is B. Don't see myself ever using her. I know if you get some Eidolons for her, she can be fun. You compare her with Himiko, and you guys can kind of mosh and mob on low tier trash enemies, but all in all, I don't think she's that great. I don't really ever see myself building her. Speaking of Himiko, don't love Himiko, not gonna lie. I think her damage output is not great. I think when Topaz comes out, she's going to be significantly better for Pyro DPS or Fire DPS. But she is a 5-star. Her scaling is pretty good. So I'm going to just put her in A tier. But I do think when Topaz comes out, even though Topaz is Hunt, I do think Himiko will more than likely move down to B tier for me. Let's do Bailu. Bailu is A tier. Second best healer in the game. She is very good. She has a panic heal that can restore you in MOC, so if a character dies, she can restore them once, and this actually doesn't affect the no enemies down or no allies down, so that's very pog. She's significantly better than Natasha. Natasha really only has the cleanse going for her, but I really wish I had Bailu so I could put her on the other side that has Luocha. Speaking of Luocha, S tier, best healer in the game, not even close. I don't even know if we will have a healer as good as him. He is absolutely insane. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't stand a chance in hell in MOC. So Luocha, easy, 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 S tier. Natasha, I'm gonna put Natasha in A tier for now. I do think when 1.3 comes out and Lynx comes out, she's going to move down to B. Her healing just isn't good enough. And once you've used Luocha, I just don't think it's sufficient enough. Like her burst, yes, can heal your whole team. She has a cleanse, which is Pog, but I don't know. I just feel like Bailu is better in most situations. And, Natasha, she's cool, but I just think there's going to be significantly better healers that come down the pipe. Pella, I do think Pella is A tier. She has a pretty good defense shred in her burst. Her skill can remove enemies' buffs, which can be a godsend in MOC. You can remove, enemies that get attack boosts, and it can significantly improve your survivability. So I do think she's A tier. Sampo, I think Sampo got a lot better with Kafka, and I think he's only going to get better when we get other DOT specialists. So I actually moved him up from B to A this time around. I think he is probably the best pairing with Kafka currently. Luca is good. Serval is also an option, but I think if you use Asta and Sampo with Kafka, it's honestly pretty crazy. You don't even need to run a DOT character with Kafka, but I think if you are, I think Sampo is the go-to. We're going to use this guy as the Fire MC. Still think he's A tier. If you have Japard, maybe he's not nearly as used, but maybe he'll drop down a little bit when Fu Xuan comes around. But we don't have a great cast of preservation characters currently, and maybe one of the other versions of the main character will be better. But I still think he is very good, has good shields, has pretty good shred for fire enemies. So all in all, I still think he's A tier. Hook is adorable. I think in instances she can actually do better damage than Himiko, but she is a 4-star, so her scaling and longevity isn't amazing. So I'd put her high B tier, and maybe if you have E6 and you had her cracked out, she could sneak into A tier. But all in all, I think Hook is actually a pretty solid character. Yang Xing, I really like this character personally. I put him in A tier. When Jing Liu comes out, he might slide down a bit, but honestly, probably one of my favorite standard 5-star characters. He's really fun. Obviously, if you pair him with Japard, nutty because you don't have to worry about him losing his damage boost essentially. But all in all, really like this character. Let's do QQ. QQ is B. I know if you get E6 of her, she could probably slide into A, but if you have Sela, I don't really see an instance where you would really want to use this character. I don't really appreciate the RNG baked into her kit, but she can be kind of fun, and if you don't have Sela or other quantum-based characters, she can be pretty cool. Sushan, I still think Sushan is A tier. Such a good character for MOC, especially against physical-based enemies. If you get, Eidolons for her, I think she gets significantly better, and you could run her in a mono physical team, and she slaps. You could pair her with Clara. I just think she's really cool. I wish I had more Eidolons of her because I would have built her, but unfortunately I do not. But all in all, I still think she is one of the best 4-star DPS characters. Yukong, when Yukong was announced, I thought she was going to be S tier. I thought she was going to be like super nuts. Whoa, what did I say? Super busted. But I really kind of think she's more in like the high B tier. If you get Eidolons for her, I think she could probably sneak up into A. But I just think her boosts are much more situational than other Harmony characters because you really have to be mindful of turn order because that's how her boosts work. It's in the sequential turn order. So I think she's just a little bit more niche. I do think she's still a really good Harmony character, but give me Bronya all day ever. Give me Bronya over her all day, every day. And I just think there's better options for Harmony characters. March 7th, I really like March 7th. I think March is actually A. If you have Japard, maybe she sneaks down a little bit, but if you don't, I do think she's a really good preservation shielder. Obviously, if you have um, Clara, she pairs really well with Clara, so I do really like March 7th. And I think if you have Eidolons for her, she gets significantly better. I think she has some of the best Eidolons for a 4-star character. Ting Yun, honestly, Ting Yun could probably be S tier. The only thing holding her back is her freaking survivability. Every single enemy wants to kill her. I'm gonna put her. I'm gonna put her high A tier. Um, Honestly, she's an amazing Harmony character. I prefer her over Yukong. She gives good attack boost. She gives massive amounts of energy. All in all, a phenomenal character. You can pair her with any DPS character, and she's gonna make them significantly better. Physical MC, honestly, C or D, it doesn't matter who really uses physical MC. If you do, I don't know what you're doing other than trying to make the game more challenging. And if you enjoy a challenge, go for it. But honestly, physical MC is significantly worse than fire MC, so I don't see it. Silverwolf, easy S tier. This character is amazing. If you have her, she kind of makes the game easy mode. And when we have Fu Xuan coming out, you could pretty much run a full quantum team, so you could always guarantee quantum weakness. So I think Silverwolf is only going to get better. I don't think there will be a character that does anything similar to what she does. So she is easily S tier. Luca. Luca is really interesting. I got a couple copies of him wishing for Kafka. I haven't built him yet. Personally, I think he is probably A tier, might be high B tier. Obviously, he pairs very well with Kafka, and he too will get better when we get more DOT specialists, aka supports, which we have one coming out in the not too distant future. But I think obviously he's really good at applying bleed. He has some of the coolest animations for a 4-star, but I just think Sampo has better DOT application than Luca. Situationally, obviously, he can be better. I mean, if you're going against physical weak enemies, Luca absolutely dominates with Kafka, but I'd still put him in A tier. I do think he is a solid character, and like I said, he will get significantly better. Arlen, Arlen is B or C. I mean, the premise of Arlen is really cool. I think if you get a lot of Eidolons for him, I think his damage really boosts up, but I mean, if you have Jing Yuan, if you have Kafka, I just don't really see the need to build Arlen. Like, it's cool that he lowers his HP. He doesn't consume, skill points, which is cool. But in actuality, he's really not that great and that strong. And then Dan Hung, I think Dan Hung is before Blade. You could argue he was A tier. I think now that Blade's out, I think he's probably B tier. Obviously, we have his 5-star version coming out very soon, aka tomorrow. But he's a really good win character. I know a lot of free to play accounts, except myself, don't use him or use him extensively, and he's kind of carried. But I never really was that enamored by the win version of Dan Hung, the 4-star version of him. But I still think he's solid, and he can definitely be effective against wind weak enemies. But I think that's pretty much it. So we had some pretty good changes. We have a ton of characters in A tier, which is awesome because I do think there's genuinely a lot of good characters in Honkai Star Rail. I think they did a really good job balancing the game, balancing the 4-stars, balancing the supports. And honestly, some of these upcoming characters, my, Fu Xuan. I can't wait for her to come out. But that's pretty much it. So comment down below. What do you think? Is my tier list trash? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? And are you summoning for anybody in 1.3? I appreciate you all so much, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.